In the late 1990s, Taylormade was making ads like this.
Oh, it doesn't look like anything you've seen before. But then again, neither will your drives.
At that time, the only Mini Driver around was looking sad at the Oscars. Now it's something that exists for people with driver phobia. This year's edition comes in a delicious copper flavor, interesting retro head cover, but seems to be otherwise exactly the same as last year. All right, opening ball. Some things to consider. I may hit this too high. The weight is at the back. The shaft is a little bit on the noodly side. So we may need to do a few things to hit it lower. Okay. Horrible strike, reasonably forgiving. I feel like I'm hitting it okay. Ball speed's pretty good. That's better. Okay, so at the moment, the way I've set it up is not serving me any purpose. So this won't be everyone's experience, but at the moment, I've got it in a setting where it's spinning too much to serve much of a purpose. I might as well hit 3-wood. To get the spin down, we need to move the light weight to the back of the driver and the heavy weight to the front. Yep, I would say so. Jeez, God. I don't know that I've ever seen a club change that much from one adjustment. Now it's not really going that short compared to my driver. It's actually somewhat comparable. I feel like I do hit it pretty straight though. I mean, I guess the question might be, why would I need a driver if it goes in the fairway? Now a few with my driver. That went shorter. What is happening? So an interesting thing about that driver is it's the lowest spin club that Taylormade makes. So it's lower spin than their actual drivers are. So it's not that shocking that it's actually lower spin than my driver. Okay, that went a bit further. I think the results are going to be kind of close. Too close. So I think this goes a little bit further. I feel like I'm hitting my driver well. Everyone in the comments is going to say, cut your driver down. No, I'm not going to do that. Let's go look at numbers, shall we? So that was exactly 5 shots in a row with both clubs. I'm using the 5 shots from the Mini Driver when I move the weight forward. To be honest, it wasn't really worth testing with the weight back for me anyway. And once I did, I hit 5 balls in a row, and then I hit 5 balls in a row with my driver. No editing out, no re-hitting. Not shocking. More club head speed by 3 miles an hour with my driver. That's what should happen. You get more ball speed out of it for the same reason. Launch angle, almost the same. A little bit higher with the Mini Driver, makes sense, got more loft. Lower spin with the Mini Driver, which is pretty interesting. That's what it's supposed to do. Carried my driver only 4 yards further. And total 1.5 yards further. Again, it's only 5 balls, but the dispersion with the Mini Driver was tighter by quite a lot. Slightly more draw bias to it, which I think has a lot to do with the smaller head. A little bit easier to draw. That's what people like about a 3-wood. That might be something to consider if you have a hard time fading the living hell out of your driver and you can't hit it straight. This is probably a little bit easier to draw. Closure rate of the face was a bit higher in the data. So that's why you see a lot of tour pros hit their 3-wood off a tee. They need to draw it when they predominantly play a fade off the tee. The driver head being larger technically makes it a little bit harder to draw. Center of gravity's further from the heel. Did you know that? Yes. I could pretty much make the argument, and most people watching this would agree. My driver is one that I played last year. I spin the ball a bit more than I did last year, so I could clearly play a slightly lower spin head. And then you'd see these two separate by more. If I got my spin on my driver down a few hundred RPMs, which I could easily do with a different head entirely, TSR2 is not that low spin, you would probably see my driver separate by more like 10 yards. But the question is, if the Mini Driver is really accurate for me, and really easy to hit and have confidence in it, who really cares about even if it was 7 to 10 yards, if you're hitting a lot of fairways. I'm now holding last year's Mini Driver. I looked at these pretty closely, and aside from the new coppery finish on the new one, I'm having a hard time picking out one single design difference. Everything is in the exact same place, weights, speed, pocket, everything. So I think we should probably hit a couple and find out. If it is literally exactly the same and it's just a cosmetic update, which is fine. They did sell out of these, so I'm not going to fault them for re-releasing it. But a lot of people keep asking if there's any difference. Should I upgrade from this one? I really doubt it. I really doubt this is any different, but let's hit a couple. That looks pretty similar. But like the numbers are just so similar. It's also quite good. I have it set up exactly the same. It's on the same setting. It's on the same weight position. The results are the same. I think it's the same. To be fully transparent, red circle strike location is the coppery Mini Driver. Blue circle strike location is last year's. So my strike location was ever so slightly lower with last year. So what you'll see is slightly lower launch, slightly higher spin, probably a bit more ball speed. Club head speed, identical. Ball speed, bit higher with last year's. Again, I think that strike location, launch is lower, spin is higher. So my launch conditions with this year's were a bit more freakish just because I struck it slightly higher in the face. But I will tell you, I use this one a fair amount. The new one's exactly the same. It looks cooler. I mean, it's exactly the same. Yeah, I like the coppery look better. If I had struck it in the exact same part of the face, I bet you the numbers would have been literally identical. Which is fine. I think it's just I think it's more of a cosmetic re-release. They did sell out of these, so I think they just didn't want to go back to the drawing board because maybe it didn't really need improving. It works really well. Yeah, I do think I would be lying if I said that when I stepped up to this, I didn't feel a little bit more confident than hitting my driver. What would a person who hates hitting their driver and has no confidence, what would they prefer about this? Would be A, it would help them keep their spin down. So somebody who slices it a bit would spin the crap out of the ball and lose distance. That would help. 2, what I mentioned earlier about the face rotating back to square earlier. So if you tend to leave the face wide open, this will be easier. It's a bit shorter, so in terms of your striking ability, it should be a little bit easier to hit a nice part of the face. But it's not a cure for bad technique, I will say that. Like, there's every opportunity to take this driver and hit it terrible. But if you are at a sort of loss with your driver and you're not willing to work on your technique at all, then this might be a decent solution. Honest, that's me being totally honest. If someone comes in here and says, I can't hit my driver, should I just get a Mini Driver? I would say, not unless you literally have no willingness to work on your swing at all. I'm not insulting this club, but that's literally what I think of it. It's cool, but people should probably just work on their swing with their driver. That's what I think. May 29. All right, this is now in insane mode. Lofted down to 9.5, weight forward. I guess if I can hit it as straight as before and further, then maybe I actually should use it. Those numbers are pretty ideal. That's kind of like my driver numbers. Ball speed is higher now, launch is good, spin could be lower, but I technically hit it 8 millimeters low in the face. .336. Pretty good. So I think my favorite shot of the test would have been this one here, which is after I lofted it down. To me, I basically got exactly driver numbers that I look for. So it's not super high launch, low spin, but it's balanced. I did strike a little bit low in the face, but maybe I could swing my driver a couple miles an hour faster than this, but the ball speed is awfully good. And it was in the middle of the fairway at 325. There's really nothing that I would say I left much on the table here. I would not be on the golf course hoping I hit it 8 yards further. Just really wouldn't be. So I will admit that I probably came into testing this with the idea in mind that this was basically just like a cool collectible item that they re-released to sell some more clubs, which I don't have a problem with, but that's basically more or less what they did. But I would say the longer the video went on, the more I actually think it's kind of a worthwhile thing to have in a fitting shop. You did say to me at one point, do I think it's a gimmick? I think I would have said yes before this, but now I might not say that. I might say that it's actually worth a look, as long as you don't think it will all of a sudden make you into a good driver of the ball. So today I feel like I was swinging well. My own driver was flying nicely. It's not like I hit my driver like garbage and then I picked this up and some sort of miracle occurred. I would not expect that. But if you have zero confidence with the driver, if some of the things I've described in terms of leaving the face open, strike location issues, if that sounds like you, it might be worth a shot. It's just not the cheapest experiment, not easy to find at a fitting shop because they're kind of like a they're kind of like a, Taylormade mostly sells them straight. I don't have fitting heads here, for example. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but yeah, it's cool. At the very least, even if you hit it like crap, it might look nice on the shelf.